Hello again, it's Lockknoob, and in front of you is the Phoenix Ultimate GSP set from Peterson, and it's absolutely chocker full of picks. This was actually lent to me by Pete Restall, who has a brilliant YouTube channel, so please do go check that out. What I'm going to do now is just cut away and empty this kit so I can categorize it all and go through it without taking more than about 15 minutes to review it for you. Alright, I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so let's start with the kind of standard hook selection that's in this Phoenix Ultimate kit. What you might be able to see here is that there are two sets of government steel picks which are in duplicate, and then there are some other picks. And what this is one's in 15 thousandths of an inch government steel and one's in their standard thickness, which let's measure that up because I always forget. I think it's around 25 thousandths, but I could be wrong. Let's have a look. Yeah, about 25 thousandths of an inch. And let's just double check, shall we? Same number one hook is in about 15 thousandths. Yeah, 15 thousandths. So there you go. And that's good because these thinner 15 thousandths picks are quite useful in some more restricted keyways. The only thing I would say about that is that when you compare the overall shank height to something like Southwold Max 07B, you'll see that it's almost twice as thick. So whilst the thinness of the metal is good to be able to get through a restricted keyway horizontally, to try and get around warding, it can still be a bit restrictive. However, you do get your standard things: number one hook, gem, half diamond, reach, snake, and ripple or city rake, all in both the 15 and the 25 thousandths, and there's nothing wrong with that. These are all great picks. One thing I genuinely like about Peterson tools is that the handles themselves are so comfortable and so well thought out, so well designed. If you're heavy-handed, the extra shank height is actually quite a boon because you don't get so much warping or bending of the pick. They are quite durable, and for that I really like them. Things I don't like are, well, have a look at this. This is actually quite normal these days for Peterson tools. Lord knows I've got my hand, and that is that the finishing is really quite poor. They're well tumbled. They're not sharp edged, but just look, that looks like it's been laser cut and there's been some stutter while it's been cutting. I mean, yeah, you could use a finger file to sand that off, but you shouldn't need to. This is not a cheap kit. It's not a cheap kit at all, actually. I think it's currently on sale for $249 US. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Okay. So what else do we get? Well, in addition to this sort of double set of relatively standard picks, you get a DeForest diamond, perfectly nice. You get some of the hooks, and forgive me, I can't remember the names. They have hook 1 to 5 in the government steel, and some of them are numbered, some of them aren't. So this is hook 5. This is a postal hook or a gonzo hook. This is 3, but the other hooks don't actually have a number on them, which I find odd. And this is an extremely shallow cut here. Quite useful, but it would be a lot more useful if it had a shank which was half the height as well. Otherwise, it's so shallow as to almost be like a probe. Another thing which I have found with these is that if you look here, and again, this is so easy to just break off with a fingernail or a craft knife, but why would you have to, when you're spending $249 US on a kit, have to finish off the handles? I couldn't tell you. However, I do quite like the fact that there is a range of different hooks, and as I said, because they're 25 thousandths or an inch thick and they have quite large shank profiles, they are quite durable too. So in that regard, I think that they are a good pick. You also get the dual peak or zipper or kinetic rake or W rake or batarang or whatever you want to call it, which is again a useful pick. And then this, I think that it's the slim hook 7. I'll come back to this in a minute, but it's just quite odd. It's very thick in shank height and very thick in tip. I'm not saying it's not useful, and maybe the extra high shank, will allow for better feel in the lock, but it is an odd one. So let's just put these to one side for a minute, and I'll try and get them out of camera and have a look at what else you get. Now, having a look on the Peterson website, these are the Decap picks, which are supposed to be a lot more slender in profile to sort of be more useful in restricted keyways. I don't think that this is actually part of the Phoenix Ultimate kit, because I think Pete got this from somebody else. This might have slipped in as an extra. I will review it anyway. What else do you get? Well, you also get in the kit these mini ripples 1, 2 and 3, and I'll put those there and I'll talk to you about those in a second. You also get some extractors, and you get some tension wrenches, which I'll review next, and a Peterson knife. Okay, let's have a look at these Decap picks. Like I said, these are supposed to be designed, and this half diamond here is perfectly good at demonstrating that. They're supposed to be designed to be thinner all round so that they can access more restricted keyways, compared to 25 thousandths standard GSM, and hopefully you can see there that there is a quite a drastically reduced shank height there. Okay, so that's good. This is a nice half diamond. Let's have a look at snake rake and do the comparison. Let's try and get the standard snake on fire. There we go. And look at this Decap. This is where it all starts to fall apart. Yes, it is a bit more slender, but really, is it that much more? I'm not so sure. A little bit. But then look at the overall finish on this. It's really lumpy. That isn't smooth. That would certainly need some filing down. Again, not great quality control there, Peterson. Then we've got this other Decap hook here, which I'm just having a look what this one's called. This is called the Hook 1. Let's compare it to a standard Peterson #1 hook, which I believe is that one. So not quite the same. And let's compare it to that weird one, which I think is a hook 7 or something like that. Well, apart from this being a lot longer, this profile here is much more similar to this. So I don't really know what the name of this, and I am looking on the Peterson website to look this up. It isn't patently clear, but it's not like the standard sort of Peterson, which I think is a #1 hook. But there you go, that's a Decap hook. And what's strange about this is that it is really thick. This is not particularly thin. And look at the overall finish. It's bent upwards, and the overall finish on this hook in particular is really poor. I wouldn't be using this to get into restricted keyways, that's for sure. I don't think so. I don't like that. On another note, the Bogota, which I don't think is included in the Phoenix Ultimate kit on Peterson's website, apart from again being terribly cut and not well finished, tumbled nicely, but that's about it. It's perfectly nice. It's a pretty good slim shanked Bogota, but yeah, again, just look at that finish. You can't get away from it. When you can buy Chinese kits for 20th of the price that are finished better than this, you know something's a bit wrong. Once again though, once these are finished, they will be a superior pick for sure, but straight out of the pack for the price, I don't think that is how it should be. Okay, this I am excited about. I think these are a great addition. If you look at a standard city rake, and I'll try and get one from the pile. You can see that this is a really nice city rake. Again, not great finishing on this, but it's a perfectly nice city rake, nice and thick, so you can rock it back and forth without putting too much strain on the metal. But if you notice, this is a relatively flat bitting. These mini ripples here, and I really like to have a go at these at some point, so maybe I'll do a separate video on this at some point. But these are designed to have different types of bitting profile. The aim, of course, being that you should be able to have a chance at opening more locks if you have different bittings. So there you go, you can see. So that's the standard one. Let's put that to one side. Let's have a look at one. I think it's 1, 2, and 3. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. Let's line them up, and hopefully you can see there that number 1 is peaked in the middle. Number 2 is sort of peaked at the front and back, and number 3 is slightly inclined from front to back if you're looking from the pick to the back of the lock, being the tip. So from the handle to the tip, it's declining. So again, I quite like these. I think that these would certainly be useful in a kit. Oh, just nudge from my camera. What else do you get in this kit? Well, you get a saw type key extractor. Aim is that you would screw this in using the threading into the lock where the key was snapped, and you would pull it back out, and hopefully that would grip enough to pull that key out. So quite a useful thing if you have snapped key problems. A harpoon style key extractor, and I've had experience of these Peterson ones before, and these little barbs on those teeth are extraordinarily sharp and very good at digging into keys to pull them out. So a perfectly nice tool. If you didn't like it, I suppose you always chop the top off, round it off, and use it as a probe for picking tubular locks and the such like. Last but not least from the sort of pick selection is the Peterson knife. Again, very thick, very strong, and used to enact various bypass methods on locks. Not really much more to say about that, but it seems very serviceable. So that's sort of the pick selection. Overall, I mean, you can't go wrong with the range of picks in this kit. You know, if you throw in all of the ones on over here as well, and all of these, you get a really nice pick selection. Let's move the key extractors and stuff out of the way, but really nice. Is it worth $249? Well, that's the crux, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. The quality of Peterson's pick handles and the pick metal and the profiles are excellent. They do need finishing off, which you wouldn't expect for that price point, but there you go. And it does come with the case, I suppose. One thing I'd say about the case is, yes, it does hold everything in the Phoenix Ultimate tools that you get, but not much else. The other thing is again, if you look, whilst it's well stitched and well put together, and it is made of leather, there is no double stitching or beading around the edge. I'm running my thumbnail between some layers of the leather. That isn't so much of a problem if you're going to throw this into a toolbox or something like that, or just keep it in your house. But if you're going to put it in your pocket or use it heavily, this isn't going to last as well as if they put beading around the edge. It's okay. It's not brilliant, but it's an okay case. It's a trifold, perfectly nice. The only thing to add on is the tension tools, and these again are, let's move these up, perfectly nice. You get some flat style pry bars. Well, they're more like flat Z wrenches and pry bars, I'd say. If you notice that they come in, well, they come in two different thicknesses, some of which have teeth on the end and one of which does not. Perfectly nice. I don't like these ones with teeth per se, unless it's a pry bar, because I find it scratches the inside of the lock if you're not careful. You also get some standard L wrenches, not too shabby, nothing exciting to say about those, but they're perfectly serviceable. As with all these kits, you'd much prefer them to have more tension tools, but this should be enough to get you started. and you've got some Peterson pry bars. Again, I think one of these is an extra that Pete might have got for his troubles. And there we go. All I can say in conclusion is it's a great kit. It costs a lot of money. It's got a lot of great tools. But Peterson, you do need to get better at finishing your stuff off. Okay, I'll see you next time.